Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott? The Cowboys are legitimately building the greatest running back room of all time. This is up there with the Fred Taylor, Maurice Jones-Drew tandem. It's up there with the Dolphins tandem in the 70s with Mercury Morris, Jim Kick, and Larry Zonka. This running back room is amazing. If this was the year 2017. Welcome everybody to JG9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared Garnett, representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about this team behind me right here, the Dallas Cowboys, as they are looking to upgrade their absolutely putrid running back room by bringing in Dalvin Cook for a visit. Dalvin Cook is flying to Dallas, and he's going to meet with the team, and presumably, if all goes according to plan, is going to sign with the Dallas Cowboys and join the defending NFC East champions. Now, the Cowboys absolutely stink at running back. They did nothing in the offseason whatsoever to bolster the position. I was very shocked by that when they didn't draft a guy, they didn't sign anyone notable in free agency. They lost Tony Pollard, which I was fine with. He probably had the most underwhelming season of any player relative to the expectations. We thought he was going to be a good running back one, and then he just had a really, really rough 2023 season, especially that missed touchdown against Miami. That was really everything that summed up Tony Pollard's bad 2023 season. But the running back room is absolutely terrible right now. It's Rico Dowdle as your one. It's the washed-up Zeke Elliott at your two. And none of the running backs that got reps to compete for that number 3 spot, like Deuce Vaughn, who had under 2 yards to carry last year, Snoop Conner or Malik Davis, impressed at all. They are super thin at that position. It is by far the weakest running back room in football. It is the worst running back room of the 32 teams. I'm not saying Dalvin Cook can help out there, but he's better than Snoop Conner. I know that much. So Dalvin Cook, presumably going to sign with the Cowboys. And yes, Dalvin Cook has been on the decline for quite a while now. 2023, he played with the New York Jets and then joined the Baltimore Ravens after the Jets let him go in the middle of the season. It was his worst season yet. 67 carries, 214 yards, no touchdowns, 3.2 yards per carry. He had 2 fumbles on 82 touches. That's 1 every 41 touches. That's really bad. Usually, Dalvin Cook averages somewhere around 1 every 80 to 90 touches. 1 every 41 is really, really bad by his standards and by most standards of running backs. But it looks like Dalvin Cook is going to join the Cowboys as their running back 3 potentially, or maybe even their running back 2 ahead of Zeke, depending on what Zeke offers. Still, Rico Dowdle is going to be your 1, but Dalvin Cook seems like if all goes according to plan and that he passed the physical and whatnot, that he is going to make the team and be a part of that running back room. But what I want to talk about with this move is the absolutely shameless reporting that came out of it. Because Tom Pelissero, who I usually really like, he's a very good insider for NFL Network and for NFL media, he completely dropped the ball on this one because he was the first to report it. And I have to ask, is it more important to be first or to be right? Because it seems like for Pelissero, it's to be the first. Because here's the thing. I get that agents influence reporters tremendously in the form of scoops. I totally get that. You tweet this out, I'll give you the first scoop. There's a quid pro quo business that goes on. It's how you play the game. And you see a ton of that, especially as of late. If you ever want to know why all these reporters say at the end of their tweet, the deal was negotiated by this agency, or they have really weird language that is clearly not objective at all and talks about how good the player is and how they need a second chance or whatnot, that's because the agent makes them tweet that out. That's because if they don't do that, they won't get the next scoop. So I get they have to play the game, but holy cow, Tom Pelissero just showed his hand tremendously and put out one of the most shameless tweets and shameless reports I've seen in quite some time. So here's the first tweet that he put out. The Cowboys might not be done. Sources say 4-time Pro Bowl running back Dalvin Cook is flying to Dallas tonight for a visit. Unlike a year ago, when he was rehabbing from shoulder surgery, Cook has hit the weights all offseason and says he feels the best he has in years. Now, all right, I've heard that one a million times before. Every single player says they're in the best shape of their life. They feel good. They've improved and whatnot. I haven't heard a single player not say that. I feel like every single day there's a new report coming out of camp or a new report coming out from an agent saying this player's in the best shape of their life, or a player saying, I feel rejuvenated, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, I've never felt this good, I haven't felt this good in years. It's complete nonsense. We all know it. It's just generic talk. But whatever. Tweet number 2 is where things go completely off the rails. As Pelissero says, Dalvin Cook has averaged 92 yards from scrimmage per game in his career. 107 if you take out last season, when he never got a chance to establish a rhythm with the Jets, but he had a long run for Baltimore in the playoffs. One of the top free agents still available. All right, let's pump the brakes here for a second. Take out last year, and he was a good player. So take out the most recent year, which is kind of a big deal for a running back, seeing as he's entering his 8th year and is well past his prime, and that's a major concern for him, and he's good. All right, we're just going to cherry pick stats and whatnot. I get that for some other things when it comes to averages and skews it tremendously in a meaningful way. Like, let's say a player played 5 seasons. He had over 1,000 yards in 4 of them, but he had just 300 yards in the other one because he got hurt 3 games into the season. I totally get that. But that's literally the top concern with Dalvin. He's too old. He's washed. We saw that last year. And if you say take out the season where he was too old and washed and he's a good player, well, no, duh. That's not the issue. If he was still a good player, the 4-time Pro Bowler, he was still making Pro Bowls and was still playing at that level, he would have been signed by now. There's a reason he was available. And that's because he wasn't that good last year. He was washed. So just saying, oh, take out the year that he was washed and he's still good. Come on, that's not how it works. And on top of that, never got a chance to establish a rhythm? Never got a chance to establish a rhythm? Did you even watch him last year? First off, do you ever think there was a reason why he never got to establish a rhythm in your words? It's because he stunk. You got to earn your way on the field. And guess what? He didn't really do that. It's like if I was on an NBA roster and a reporter says that I can be good if the coaching staff ever gives me a chance to establish a rhythm. Like, I'm 5'10", I have no jump shot, I have no physicality whatsoever. I'm not going to be good if I get the chance to establish a rhythm. That's not how it works. You can't just say that a guy that doesn't play, if he gets a chance to establish a rhythm, can be good. That's not how any of this works. And number 2, that's also a blatant lie. Pelissero just tweeted out a blatant lie because guess what? He did get plenty of chances to establish a rhythm. He got a lot of chances, in fact, and he failed every single one of them. Remember that Monday Night Football game against the Bills in Week 1? Of course you remember that game. The Xavier Gibson punt return touchdown, Aaron Rodgers going down for 4 plays. But remember that game? Dalvin Cook started. Dalvin Cook, I shouldn't say started, but he got the bulk of the carries in that game. Week 1 against the Bills. 13 carries for 33 yards. 2.54 yards per carry. He was awful. He did start Week 14 against the Houston Texans. 7 carries for 13 yards. 1.86 yards per carry. Yeah, he never got to establish a rhythm even though he started with only that one. He had 8 carries in Week 3 against New England. He had 8 carries for 18 yards. 18 yards. 2.25 yards per carry. And he had 8 carries that game. He had 36% of snaps against Dallas. That's a pretty substantial amount in Week 2. He had 7 yards. He had 7 games last season where he could actually get a rhythm and get 5 or more carries. He didn't get 4 yards per carry in any of them. He actually had more games with less than 3 yards per carry than games where he crossed that mark. So, Tom Pelissero, don't feed me that nonsense that he never got to establish a rhythm. He's not some unsung gem who rode the pine and never got his due. The man's entering his 8th year. There are criticisms that he's washed, and he flat out stunk last year in the year that he was washed, and now he's presumably even more washed. So, nothing about that made any sense. The report was completely false. The report is just not true based on everything we watched, and it's just bad reporting by Tom Pelissero. I get that he wanted to be the first to get the scoop out, and he did get the scoop out, and it is an accurate scoop, but come on. To put it like that, like, at least, at the very least, make it not obvious that you're playing the game. And I love that everyone on Twitter is calling him out. If you look at the top replies to that tweet, there's a reason why he's available, Tom. Did Dalvin's agent write this? You are shameless. He didn't get a chance to establish a rhythm because he's washed, holding his agent's water. How much does that weigh? You get the idea. A lot of people calling out Pelissero on this tweet, and rightfully so. That's just awful reporting on the Dalvin Cook situation by one of the NFL's supposed best and brightest, who is a guy that I usually like. He's a very good insider most of the time, but not his finest moment there. Not his finest moment in the slightest bit. Bit of a shameful report there by Pelissero. But either way, Dalvin Cook visiting the Cowboys. Looks like he's going to sign with the Cowboys and join that 53-man roster. What are your thoughts on Dalvin Cook? Do you think he still has anything left in the tank? Do you think he did not get a fair chance with the Jets? Do you think he's a good running back? Do you think that he will get more reps than Zeke? Do you think he's going to get the starting job potentially over Rico Dowdle? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And that is going to do it for this episode of JJ News. Be sure you like and subscribe and help us the channel out a lot. And be sure to check out my main channel, Jaguar9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is Jaguar9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.